All right, good evening, everybody. If the audio is working and if we are streaming in 1080p, go ahead and give a thumbs up in the chat and then we'll get started. Hopefully everybody had a great Monday, good start to the week. We'll get started in just a moment. All right, it looks like we're good. So good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. It is a beautiful night out here in Manhattan. It is December 18th, 2023. It is a Monday. It's around 9:07 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are reporting live right here from Billionaires Row, 57th Street and Madison Avenue, not too far away from 432 Park. Now, one of the things I want to do today, we haven't gone here in a while, let's venture to the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Let's cross all the way over to Sutton Place. We'll check out some of the views from the 59th Street Bridge, as well as Sutton Place Park. Now, it is December 18th, which means this is the second to last week of December, which is pretty wild. So Christmas Eve is December 24th and Christmas Day is December 25th. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking about next week. It's going to be a very, very shortened trading week on Wall Street, and probably not too much trading activity is going to be going on. If I had to guess and assume, which one should never assume, but since Christmas falls on this Monday, I think the week of Christmas is pretty much shot. I think a lot of higher ups are probably just going to take off that entire week. Many people will just take off the 26th to the 29th just so that it can extend and have that long weekend going into January 1, which also lands on a Monday, New Year's Day. January 1st, 2024. Insane that we're already talking about that, but we are. A couple quick reminders this Thursday, okay? So Thursday, December 21st, after the market closes, so right at the closing bell, we are going to be sending out the final edition, okay? The final copy of the Behind the Street newsletter for the year. It's crazy that the year is over, but this will be the final issue, and then we will be back on the 4th of January for the first issue of the Behind the Street newsletter. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. Now, before we get into the news in terms of the stock market as well as the bond market, we had some pretty big news hit the wire today as it relates to Apple. I'm not sure if anybody saw this, but breaking news. Apple is set to halt all sales of their Apple Watch as it prepares to comply with the US import ban. So apparently, I would say allegedly, because Apple's probably going to fight this. What I think Apple's probably just going to settle with this company. I think the company is called Massimo, which is sort of like a medical device technology company. Apparently, in the October ruling by the U.S. International Trade Commission, they found that Apple violated patent-related or patents related to a blood oxygen sensor on some of the versions of the devices. So I believe every single Apple Watch from 2021 on, or I think 2020 on, most Apple Watches have sort of like a pulse ox sensor, which is actually one of the most attractive features to the Apple Watch, right? People can monitor their different vitals and things like that. So starting next week, Apple will have to halt all sales of the Apple Watch. So the company will pause US online sales of the Apple Watch Series 9 and the Apple Watch Ultra 2 beginning December 21st in US stores, and on December 24th, which is Christmas Eve, they're going to be removing that from online too. So we'll see if that impacts sales. Apple Watches are not particularly a large portion of overall sales. So honestly, I don't even think it'll really make a dent in the company. But what I am foreseeing here is Apple will probably settle this. I don't think the sales will be halted for much longer. Apple will probably just stroke Massimo a check and be done with it. But Apple is by far the largest smartwatch vendor in the world. I think it accounts for about 30% of all shipments in 2022, and nearly 60% of all global smartwatch sales comes from Apple. So it's no small feat. I just thought I would mention that. Some breaking news over the headlines here. But let's check out the equity market. We'll start with the S&P 500. S&P closed up about 21 points today, but if you noticed, it was well off the highs. So we closed at about mid-range, and the trading day on December 14th, which was the Thursday, and then on Friday the 15th, we had these two little doji candles, so sort of like indecision candles here. And the market's pretty much been up 4 straight weeks in a row. Very heavy extension from the 50-day and the 200-day moving average across the board, not only on the S&P 500, but on the Dow 30 as well. Take a look at the DJI, the Dow Jones Industrial Average. For the cash close today, closed pretty much flat, up 1 point, $37,306 for the Dow. That is very much extended from the 50 and the 200. And then last but not least, we'll look at a tech-heavy NASDAQ, the NDX, which is the NASDAQ 100, which is just spitting distance away from an all-time record high. They'll probably push that to all-time record highs tomorrow. The NASDAQ 100 closed up about 100 points, 106 points to be exact, closing at 16,729 on the dot. If we go over to commodities and look at crude oil had a little bit of a rally day, closing at $72 a barrel. The 200-day moving average is at 77 bucks. So we're having a little bit of an uptick in crude here. But it'll probably trade in that range. I don't believe we're gonna have crude over $90 a barrel anytime soon. I think that ship has pretty much sailed for energy in my view, but we'll see. Let's look at the dollar, or the Dixie, ticker symbol DXY. Dixie's trading at 102. Now it's incredible to really think about how the strength of the dollar has deteriorated since September of 2022. I mean, I remember doing these live streams and the Dixie was at 114. We've corrected all the way down to 100. So this is the dollar index, which measures the overall strength of the US dollar against a basket of global currencies. And this is actually relatively good for corporate earnings of multinational companies who deal in many other countries, right? Because if you're a big company like Apple and Microsoft and you have a lot of sales in foreign currency, well, you're a US company, so you report earnings in US dollars. So when you go to do the currency conversion and the US dollar is very high, well, you can buy a lot less US dollars with your foreign currency. So now things are actually sort of easing up here a bit, and we've seen that reflected in a lot of stock prices. All right, everybody, that's all I got. I'm gonna go ahead and close up the laptop here. I'm gonna say hello to everybody in the chat. Thank you all for joining us again tonight on Walks on Wall Street. And just as a quick note, last Thursday, I had sent out our free investing newsletter, the Behind the Street newsletter. If you wanna be signed up to receive all of our equity research, our stock market research, and real estate research for free, you can go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email. And as I said, every other Thursday after the market closes, we're going to be signed up to receive that newsletter, and you will be good. All right, so I'll close up the laptop here and we will get ready. It's a little close. All right, let's see who we have in the chat. That was strange. So this guy has all this space, but he chooses to sit right next to me. Must be pretty popular. Hey, Smee Media, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. I see our good friend Fred X is joining us. As always, Jen Claus Cooking is here. Let's head to Sutton Place. Let's head to Sutton Place. Now, we haven't been to Sutton Place in quite some time. It's one of my favorite neighborhoods in all of New York City. And it's very famous for their co-ops. They have very beautiful cooperative buildings, which are actually trading at significant discounts right now. Austin City Limits is joining us. What is going on? Estelle is here. Says evening. Good to see you, Estelle. Thanks for joining us. Reporting live from the corner of East 55th Street here and Madison Avenue. We'll head up 2 more blocks and then we will cross. It finally stopped right around 7 p.m. So finally we are going to be dry because last night was not too fun walking around in the rain. Hey, Hawaii, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you had a good Monday so far. Victor's here. Good to see you, Yogi. Let me just make sure my Wi-Fi is turned off. Just because since we're so close to the office, sometimes my phone tries to connect to my office Wi-Fi, but we are off. Hey, Patrice, Baby Grinch says co-ops, question mark. Yeah, co-ops. So in New York City, which is a little bit unique, you can buy condominiums or you can buy co-ops. Now, co-ops, if you purchase one, you're technically not buying, you technically don't own your unit, right? You own shares in a corporation, right? That's the main difference between a co-op and a condo. A condo, you have, your individual property rights to your unit. You own it free and clear. With the co-op, you're actually buying shares in the corporation, right? And you're granted those shares at purchase. Now, another difference, particularly with co-ops, is the co-op boards can be rather difficult to deal with at times. And the board packages can be really, really extensive. I'm talking very, very extensive. And you don't have to have a reason, or I should say the co-op boards, you don't have to have a reason to deny someone to purchase in your building. So even though you may have the financial means to purchase an apartment, and you may love the unit, you may fall in love with your apartment, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna purchase this in cash. Yeah, well, not so fast. You still have to go through the co-op board and you have to get approval in order to, have them allow you to purchase in the building, which is a little bit unique. And some of these co-ops are really strict, very, very strict. So yeah, a little bit unique there. Hey, Zay Batata, welcome. On this very windy night in New York. Sabrina Fair, good to see you. Chris. Oh, Chris, cool. Good to see you. Yeah, just bear with the wind noise tonight. I still have to find... Well, I probably lost my microphone, but I gotta buy another one. I'll probably go to B&H sometime tomorrow. We'll see as we wait. It's across Park Avenue. Right across the street is the brand new 425 Park. It's beautiful. No, I didn't see that. Someone says, Tom, did you see Chobani bought La Colombe Coffee for $900 million? You recommended them and I love their coffee. I did not see that acquisition. That's a very interesting acquisition. Really, Chobani bought La Colombe. Very cool. Very, very cool. Huh. I did not know. I think it works. I think that's a good match, though. Very interesting. Yeah, La Colombe is a very good coffee shop here in Manhattan. And I think Chobani actually has a store in Soho, I think. We must have walked past it a couple times. Huh, very cool. This is the Aston Martin showroom here. Hello, mate 2008. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Man, well, congratulations to La Colombe. Wow, a $900 million acquisition. I'm really curious as to what their financials were. That seems like a lot. That seems like a huge amount. Now, although I think in addition to their traditional stores, right, La Colombe sells personalized coffee brands in supermarkets, in stores, and 7-Elevens and things like that, I believe. So that's probably, if I had to guess, where a lot of the more lucrative side of the business comes from, right? Because if you're a big distributor, of coffee drinks, and everybody's paying $5 to $6 a can, that's a lot more lucrative and a lot more profitable than selling individual coffee cups in stores, I would imagine. Interesting. Hey Lori, good to see you. Brian M says, wasn't there a huge steel acquisition today? I saw something about that, but I was pretty much out in the field most of the day, so I wasn't really able to be too read up on that. But what was it, US Steel, I think? Look, the market, not only the M&A market, but also the IPO market too has been picking up, which is definitely a stark contrast from 2022 when the IPO market was pretty much dead. I mean, there was pretty much no deals being done at all. The market was totally frozen. And that really tends to happen. That's quite normal after you have these, euphoric periods where it seems like a new issue is coming public every day. It was almost kind of cartoonishly ridiculous in 2021 and even in 2020, right? I would say the latter half of 2020 into 2021, you would turn on CNBC and they would be celebrating, a new stock going public or a new SPAC literally almost every day. I mean, the IPO, the deal market was insanity. And this is something we've talked about, where if you go back and look at some of the major investment banks, right, like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, they really had windfall profits in 2021 because they make a lot of money off of fee income, taking these companies public, right? And some banks, I think it was Citi, said that they are going to stop doing these SPAC deals because they could potentially be held liable should down the line it turns out that a lot of these sales forecasts and earnings forecasts were a little bit too egregiously extended, right? Or in non-corporate speak, just fraudulent sales and earnings estimates. But that's one of the things about SPACs, right? The investment banks will have no issue doing these deals, right? Underwriting the deals and putting the deals together and selling them off to investors because they make money. But the moment that there's any sort of liability or ramifications, they're like, nope, we're out, we're done. And that can sort of tell you, if you read between the lines, that many of these SPAC deals were not, I would say, even ethical, in my view. All right, let's make a right on 58th Street, and we'll check out the Bloomberg headquarters right off of Lexington Avenue here. Hey, D is joining us. What's up, D? Good to see you as always. Hey, Myron Smith says Chobani financed the deal via a $550 million term loan. Cash on hand and the exchange of Keurig Dr. Peppers. Wow. Huh. I'm going to have to look into this. Let me take a screenshot of that. Zay Batata says, how are SPACs still legal? Well, I mean, the thing is, I know I really rip on SPACs a lot. Not all SPACs are bad, but it's just the problem that I have with them is it kind of reverses the structure of a typical deal. So the incentives are kind of backwards. You're incentivized to throw any crappy deal together because you raise the money first, and then you try to find a company to merge with a blank check shell company, essentially. Now, if you can't find a deal to be done, all the money goes back to the investors. But the thing is, you're incentivized to get a deal done regardless. And a lot of times, due to sort of the laxed, I would say, regulations, a lot of these companies that are going public via SPAC, right, special purpose acquisition company, from what I've seen, their sales estimates or revenue estimates and even earnings projections, these are just like totally non-realistic pie in the sky numbers. And the problem with that is they're selling those estimates and those projections to investors, right? And even retail investors sometimes, who may be a little bit less educated on these companies and are just believing this, sort of believing these numbers, I guess. But anyway, so this is the Bloomberg headquarters, and I think it looks really nice. They have a nice holiday display here with Christmas lights. Looks beautiful. Now, I wonder how often Michael Bloomberg ever comes to the office here. I always wonder that. Probably not too often. I think he's mainly focused on his philanthropy and not, Bloomberg. I think the business pretty much just runs itself. Hey, SME Media, Tom, will you be posting any new apartment tour videos soon? Yes. The answer is yes. This week I should be filming our new project that's coming up on 19th Street, which has really good views of the Hudson Yards. I mean, not the Hudson Yards, the High Line, by the way. So this week, assuming the weather's going to improve, I don't like to film when it's, horrible weather. I don't think the apartments film well. So assuming that the weather's going to improve, we should have a video out by the end of the week. But I believe I'm going to be creating a separate channel for our listings or the property tours and just keep this channel only live streams. I think that's what I'm going to do. But short answer is yes. Everybody, this is 3rd Avenue. And if you look all the way down the block, you can see this building right here. It's called the Lipstick Building. And that is where Bernie Madoff sort of ran his Ponzi scheme, right from that building. We don't have time to go down there tonight, but maybe tomorrow or something we'll take a walk directly in front of the building. But for now, let's cross 3rd Avenue and continue to head towards the East River and Sutton Place. One of my favorite neighborhoods in all New York City. Hey, Brad's Brain is joining us. What's up, Brad? Good to see you as always. I was debating on walking the 59th Street Bridge tonight, but I think it's going to be too windy. We'll see. We'll mark it as tentative. And it's also maybe too noisy. It's the noisiest bridge, I think. Cindy Foley's here. Says Merry Christmas, Tom and chat. Good to see you, Cindy. Trust you're well. Buy the Book is here. What's going on? Wow, Ed Dunkel. No way. Ed Dunkel says, Tom, a buddy of mine lost $30 million with Bernie Madoff. Whew. Oh my God. That's horrible. That's so horrible. I mean, I don't know. I really don't understand how someone could go through with that, right? Because you've got to know the house of cards is going to come down at some point, right? I mean, it's quite obvious. Bernie Madoff was not a stupid guy, right? And I'm not saying that to compliment him. I'm saying that just to be a realist, right? Bernie Madoff was not a stupid person. He was a smart guy, right? So he must have known at some point that the house of cards is going to collapse. And a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money and lose everything. So to still be able to go through with that with a straight face is quite wild. Now, I was talking to someone much older and much wiser than myself about this a long time ago. And one of the ways it was explained to me is the following. But if you continue to look to the north, that is the on-ramp to the 59th Street Bridge. We may go up there a little bit later during the live stream. But sometimes, you know, once you're so deep into a fraud, it's almost like you get scared and you get spooked and you have to keep it going. Which is a strange way to think about it. So like once you're in, you know, it's like, okay, you're in, and you just have to do anything possible just to keep it going because you're so freaked out. I don't know. It just seems, I mean, I guess those are the characteristics of a sociopath, right? I mean, if Bernie Madoff had no remorse, right, for people losing their money, you know, you have no perception of what other people may think of you. You have no regard for others. That is, you know, textbook behavior of a sociopath. So it's wild. I mean, many of you recommended, I think there's a documentary on Netflix. Many of you are recommending I watch. I haven't gotten around to check it out. I will, I promise. But yeah, crazy story, which happened right here in New York City. Wild. Hey, this is Tom. For the Love of Money by the OJs. Listen to the words. It's true, and then maybe you'll understand why people get caught up in these Ponzi schemes. I'll take a screenshot of that, D, and I'll check that out for sure. I know Office Girl's like, how do you sleep at night? At that point, I don't know. Ed Dunkel says, my friend was running a hedge fund and making $1 million a month. Yeah, I mean, a lot of, you know, that's the thing, right? I mean, a lot of sophisticated investors were also caught up in this fraud too, which is wild. You know what I saw the other day, Ed? I actually saw somebody selling statements on eBay from Bernie Madoff, right? So back in the, I mean, now I guess you can technically get statements But back in those days, you would get a paper statement in the mail. Everything's digital now. And people still have their statements from investing with Bernie Madoff, like the physical copies. I was debating on buying it just to have it just as like a piece of history, but I decided against it. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And there was a lot, and when I mean a lot, there was a lot of sophisticated investors too that were caught up in it. But the sad thing is, obviously, I mean, it's sad if anybody loses money, but some people invested their entire life savings with Bernie Madoff, which is horrible. Hey, Daryl is here from Chicago, Illinois. What's up, Daryl? Good to see you. Joseph Hardaway, welcome. Now, we're now approaching Sutton Place, but I want to point something out to all of you here. Now, you can tell all of the buildings lining the street are these older style buildings, but look at this one. This is actually a brand new development. I believe these are condos, and I think every single unit in this building has its own dedicated floor, I believe. And I think it looks good. This is very similar to similar design to 139 East 23rd Street. If you want to check that building out, if you go on Street Easy, check out 139 East 23rd Street. The building is called Gramercy North. It looks similar, and every single unit in the building has a dedicated floor with floor-to-ceiling glass windows. You could kind of see the Christmas tree in that one. But by and large, Sutton Place, many of these buildings are co-ops or cooperatives. Hey, Joe Driver, what's going on? Good to see you. Bree Grams, welcome. Yeah, someone says Midtown was a zoo this past weekend, and it's probably going to be an even bigger zoo starting on Thursday. I was walking up 6th Avenue, and I literally couldn't even walk down the street. There was so many tourists there. If I had to make a prediction, I think Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I mean, it's going to be so busy on 6th, particularly near and in and around Rockefeller Center. I would probably try to avoid those areas because Sunday's Christmas Eve and then Monday is Christmas Day. So, I mean, everybody's going to be in the city this weekend. It's going to be wild. And next week, I mean, there's going to be no work getting done next week. Monday's Christmas, and then the next weekend is New Year's. I think everybody's just going to be out taking off. But you know what I wanted to say really quick about sort of these Ponzi-like frauds and these Ponzi-like schemes? They seem to happen sort of like every 10 or 20 years. There's usually one major fraudulent scam. And I think a lot of people, they sort of believe that the only people who can get caught up in these scams are retail investors and, you know, sort of like mom and pop investors who really aren't paying attention. But that's really not true. That's really not true at all. Anybody, really everyone can really be a victim of these schemes. The most recent one, which, I mean, you guys are already thinking about it. I mean, before I even have to say it. But look at the whole FTX. I mean, that thing was oh my God, what a huge fraud that thing was. And that affected a lot of very wealthy individuals, right? And extremely astute and prestigious investors got roped up in that and got burned in a big way. Not only that, oh, look at this. I love these sort of classic lobbies with all those wood paneling around. I love that style. It's very Upper East Side, sort of like very black tie, buttoned up. I love that though. But But, you know, in addition to that, not only were a lot of very wealthy and astute investors caught up in that, a lot of people were promoting it, like actively promoting it, right? Now, not to knock anybody, and you know, it's easy to say, you know, I told you so at the end of it, but, you know, look at Kevin O'Leary. You know, he sold his business, The Learning Company, for over $1 billion. I think he's most notably known for being a shark on Shark Tank. He's also makes many appearances on CNBC. He runs the O'Leary funds, and he wasn't just invested in it. You know, he was getting paid. I mean, guys, he was getting paid millions of dollars to promote that. Not just like a couple $1 million, millions of dollars to be a spokesperson. So I think it's important, right? And it's funny how just by looking at that one building, Bernie Madoff's building, it's sort of sparking this conversation about frauds in any event. But it just goes to show that it's not only, you know, the retail guy that can get wrapped up in this stuff. So you really got to do your diligence. It kind of makes me think of that quote that hard times, I forget how it goes. I always forget the saying. But when times are good for too long, you sort of let your guard down, right? So when everybody's making money and, you know, everything seems, you know, all honky-dory, the saying is, it's all funny when you're making money. You kind of let your guard down. You let your diligence slip a little bit. And then that's when these crazy, you know, sort of black swan events happen. Unfortunately, but it's the truth. Okay, team, we are now here. We've arrived at Sutton Place. This is 57th Street, I should say East 57th Street and Sutton Place. I'm gonna cross to the south side for a moment. And you'll notice there's gonna be very, very light foot traffic in the neighborhood. And I think you'll enjoy the architecture of the buildings too. So we'll do sort of a loop around. I love this building. That's actually a driveway. So it has a roundabout, kind of like a rotunda driveway, which is nice. And the facade of the building is beautiful too. Hey, John is here. This is Tom. I'm still fascinated by the Madoff investment scandal. Yeah, I mean, so I think Bernie Madoff was also, wasn't he the chairman of the NASDAQ or something like that? He held some very prestigious and high position at the NASDAQ. So it just goes to show, I mean, you know, credentials, it doesn't, you know, obviously it's a very rare case, right? This is a very, very rare case of a massive fraud like this. That's why it's such a famous case with Bernie Madoff. But just because somebody is, you know, the president of the New York Stock Exchange or, you know, chairman at the NASDAQ, doesn't necessarily mean everything's all well and good. A little strange. Hey, Glenn Daly says Merry Christmas, Tom, and everybody. Thank you, Glenn. Merry Christmas to you and your family as well. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Sharon is here. Good to see you. What's going on? Travel Nistis is you have to research everything. Agreed. DMs is the organization that I worked for, invested with Bernie Madoff. Holy crap, guys! I wasn't expecting that so many people in the chat, either new people who invested with Bernie Madoff or something. Well, I guess it makes sense. I mean, we're doing the live stream in New York, but incredible, crazy. You know, maybe I'll go on. If you go on eBay, and if you just type in Bernie Madoff, there's a gentleman who's selling his old statements from Madoff's firm. I was thinking about buying it. I may buy it, but it's just a crazy, wild piece of history, piece of financial history. Hey, Cape Cod Sour says, Merry Christmas, Tom, watching from Cape Cod. Good to see you. Dirty Napkins says, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. That is the quote I was thinking of. I just couldn't remember it. And it's the same in everything, right? And I think all of this was really spurred from easy money policies. But yeah, FTX is, and which his trial just ended, by the way, I believe. He was convicted. I wasn't really following it too much in depth, but username says, I was just looking at an apartment in Sutton Place last week. Very underrated neighborhood. Yeah, I mean, I tell all of my clients, you know, Sutton Place, in terms of price per square foot, right now is trading well below market in terms of comparable neighborhoods in Manhattan. And there's a reason for this, right? Now, neighborhoods in Manhattan fall in and out of fashion all the time. And right now, the number one most fashionable neighborhood in Manhattan is Tribeca. Everybody wants to be in Tribeca because all the celebrities are there. You know, there's nice buildings and all that, which I get. I'm not a big Tribeca fan. But in terms of price per square foot, you're going to get really beaten over the head in price per square foot. But here, a lot of these co-ops are trading at steep discounts for a couple of reasons. The trend has really changed away from living on the sort of Upper East Side in cooperatives. You know, as millennials grow up and Gen Zs start to buy their first homes, they're actually prioritizing lifestyle. So you're seeing more demand for condominiums that have swimming pools, gyms, you know, crazy dog spas. I mean, I know some new developments that are condominiums that have just unbelievable amenities, like crazy amenities. Game rooms, in-house movie theaters. So what I tell my clients is, look, if you're just looking for a nice place to live, close to Midtown Manhattan, right? Because think about it. This is 57th Street in Sutton Place. If you walk directly, you know, into Manhattan, that's where all the major investment banks are on Park Avenue, Madison Avenue, Billionaires Row. That's where my office is. You know, it's a 10-minute walk, less. We just did it. And if you just want a nice place to live, you don't need all these, you know, wonky amenities, you can get a better deal in terms of price per square foot than in some of the other more, I would say, luxurious condos, right? So if you can handle that trade-off, and if you want to make the bet that, you know, Sutton Place will come back into fashion, then I would take a look at some of these select co-ops here. I would. You just need to really do your diligence as it relates to some of these co-op boards, because the board packages can be very, very strenuous, to say the least. So if anybody needs help with that, definitely feel free to reach out to us here at the Kirsten Jordan team at Douglas Elliman. So, but yeah, I think if you wanted an edge, and you're saying, okay, I want to buy in Manhattan now and maybe have an exit in 7 to 10 years, I think your best bang for your buck now is not in the hot neighborhoods, right? It's not in the hot neighborhood like Tribeca right now, because that's still priced top tick. I think some of the other markets that have gone through corrections in Manhattan are good buys, generally speaking, I think. And plus, it's a beautiful neighborhood. I mean, look at this. An amazing view here of the 59th Street Bridge. You have all of these beautiful parks overlooking the East River. I mean, look at that. This is Sutton Place Park. It's open to the public. How gorgeous is that? Incredible, incredible. Hey, Teresa Diaz is here. Good to see you, TD. SME Media says, access to mass transit a factor in neighborhood popularity? Yes and no. But definitely people want to be close to public transportation, absolutely. Someone says we definitely don't want wonky amenities. I mean, I think the amenities are cool, but you know, you have to think about, you always have to think long term, right? So if your building currently has a saltwater swimming pool, all types of gyms, hair salons, dog spas, over time, you know, somebody has to maintain that. You have to pay the building staff to maintain that. So when you have your assessments, right, it's called assessments, do you think in the next 10 years it's going to be more expensive to maintain the saltwater swimming pool, the gym, you know, the dog spas and all that? Or do you think it's going to be less expensive? It's probably going to be more expensive. So, you know, just make sure you know that if you're looking for a building that has, let's say, you know, $1,500 worth of common charges, that's probably going to go up. And in some cases significantly, but that's why you have to do the diligence on the building. Now this is really mesmerizing here. I don't know if you guys could see this. So look at how beautiful this street here is. It's a little bit of a cul-de-sac, but look at this townhouse here. There's a baby grand piano in this little window. Imagine sitting down playing the piano and having this view. It's pretty incredible. Holden Caulfield says, can you find anything for 800 in Manhattan? I'm assuming you mean 800,000. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Manhattan's a big place. You could definitely find, you know, a one-bedroom studio for 800. Absolutely. Less. You could actually find studio apartments for less. I think there's some studio apartments on Central Park South that are going for like $550. Now again, you're going to be an older building, but you're going to be right on Central Park. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams starting at 8:30 p.m. every single night. Now this is the new East River Elevated Park that's not open yet. You're going to have a pedestrian path, you're going to have a bike lane. I think you could see some construction workers walking along the path right here now too. Hey, Phil is here. Says, hey Tom, good to see you, Phil. Roy is here from San Francisco. What's up, Roy? Says, you always capture the best views, Tom. Happy holidays to you and yours. Happy holidays to you too. Thank you so much, Roy. Appreciate it. So the 59th Street Bridge goes over Roosevelt Island. You could actually see the Roosevelt Island Racket Club in the distance. And then all the way down here is Long Island City. I mean, look at how much the Long Island City skyline has changed over the years. It almost looks like a mini Manhattan over there. And those are pretty much all ultra luxury condos. Long Island City has gotten very, very expensive. I'm sure many of you, remember when Long Island City, back in the day was, not the best neighborhood. Let's just say that. And now it's quite expensive. With luxury condos, great places to eat, coffee shops, everything. So, great place. James Davidson says, happy holidays, Tom. Thank you so much. Happy holidays to you too. Yeah, and I think generally just the architecture of a lot of the buildings in Sutton Place are a little bit, I would say, the more classic New York, right? I mean, check out these townhouses right here. Yeah, Harry Connor says it was a dump. I think you're putting it in a little bit more choice words than I am, but I think you're right. Hey, JC is here. What's going on? Good to see you, JC. Cody, welcome. You know what? Look at this driveway. These are the original Belgian block cobblestone streets of New York. That's really gorgeous. And they have their private backyard. So you can be out here in your backyard grilling, hanging out in the summer, overlooking the 59th Street Bridge. Fantastic. I also like these. Now, these are all brand new restoration, right? So the good thing about this is the developer appears to have kept the architectural integrity of the buildings in tune with the neighborhood, and they've just chosen to sort of restore the facades and do gut renovations. And I think they did an amazing job. You have your own personal driveway here. I think it looks awesome. Let's go down a couple of the other streets. But yeah, I would absolutely live here in Sutton Place. Hey, Jonathan from Florida says, hello, Tom and friends. Good to see you all. Likewise, welcome to a very blustery and windy New York. Try to travel says, any specifically luxury apartments for $500K anywhere, one bedroom is fine. Yeah, I mean, in some, you know, it's funny because Manhattan is changing in a big way, right? And due to a lot of the rent stabilization and rent control laws in New York City, a lot of the newer developments that are going up are more luxury, upscale condominiums. There's very, very seldom you're going to have low-income housing. And this is all pushing further and further north, right? So, for example, 110 Cathedral Parkway. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is or where that is, Central Park in Manhattan runs all the way from 59th Street, Central Park South, all the way up to 110th Street, Cathedral Parkway. Now, 110th Street, I would say Central Park North, sort of lining Central Park to the northernmost side, didn't used to be the greatest. And now there's actually brand new luxury condominiums with all these amazing amenities and all the bells and whistles that we talk about. And the further north you go, you're even seeing a lot of these luxury condos go up in Harlem, right on 125th Street. So there's a lot of new product, an exciting new product coming up, particularly the further into Harlem and the heights you go. So yeah, I mean, it is a possibility you can get something for $500,000 in a luxury building in Manhattan. Is it going to be in Midtown? Probably not, no. But it could definitely be in the Heights, or it could be in Harlem. I think this is my second favorite stretch of townhouses right here. Right on the corner of Sutton Place. You can see the rooftops are fantastic too. All right, let's head back in towards the main Midtown Manhattan. I always like coming to Sutton Place though. It's a little bit of a reprieve from Midtown. Sort of all the craziness. But what do you guys think about the facades of these buildings? I love them. Hey, Jonathan says, Tom, how is your house down here in Miami with the storms we had? You know, I'm not too sure. I'm gonna have to check the cameras. But where I am, we very, very seldom flood. Very, very seldom. But a couple of my buddies were texting me saying it was raining for almost like 5 days straight in Miami, and we had crazy amounts of flooding. So I'll definitely have to check in on that. But the weird thing about Miami is it could be like flash flooding in the streets, and then you go to sleep and you wake up and everything is bone dry and it's beautiful. It's 80 degrees out. Strange. Joe E says, hey Tom, the building where you drive your car to your apartment, what floor is it? Could you type that comment again? Maybe it's like a typo. Or do you mean what? You talking about the my listing in Tribeca? for that one, it's 5 Franklin Place is the address. 5 Franklin Place, and the apartment number is 8A. That's a really nice listing. Now again, what we were talking about in Tribeca, right? So, that's a building with all the fancy bells and whistles and the amenities. For example, the parking, right? Now, Franklin Place is not to be confused with Franklin Street, right? So if anybody's familiar with Tribeca specifically, if you get off on Franklin Street, you walk all the way down, about halfway down the block is this miniature cul-de-sac. And it's actually a private street. It's called Franklin Place. That's exclusive to the building 5 Franklin Place. Now, I shouldn't say a lot. One of the most famous New York Rangers, I should say, lives in that building. I actually saw him last weekend when I was doing the open house. You drive your vehicle literally into the side of the facade of the building. And the facade of the building opens up. You drive your car onto the pad. It almost looks like a miniature helipad, but it's a car elevator. And your car goes all the way down into the basement, and it parks your car in your space for you. So it's not your traditional garage where you have a valet guy driving your car and parking it for you. You just put it on the landing pad, you press a button, and the floor literally goes into the ground, and it stacks the cars on top of one another, about a story down into the ground, which is pretty crazy. But I think they shut down the street. I wonder what's going on. Hook and Ladder Company 2. Hey, Sunshine After Rain is here. What's going on? Hello Mate 2008. Soho is awesome. Soho is awesome. Evan Weeks, good to see you. Welcome. I think it's probably a gas leak, it looks like. Looks like the FDNY is headed back. There's probably some call for like a gas leak, it looks, right? You have another engine truck down there. Yeah, I think everything is fine. They're all leaving now. I always love this sign here, the Sutton Place wine shop. Very cool. DC 322 is just a routine call. Yeah, probably. Now this is actually my new neighborhood, by the way. I don't live in Sutton Place. I live just on the other side of the 59th Street Bridge now. And I love it so far. I'm about a block away from the Trader Joe's. I'm also about 6 blocks away from Target. I think Target is on East 70th Street, I believe. Yeah, so I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Now that I'm technically living on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, I kind of can tell what a lot of people are talking about when they say that the Upper East Side is a lot more cleaner than the Upper West Side. I still like the Upper West Side better, not gonna lie. It's just a more relaxed environment on the Upper West Side, but the Upper East, particularly below 86th Street, is very, very polished and very, very buttoned up. So, yeah, Hawaii's like nice, Tom. Can I give you my Trader Joe's list? We don't have it in Hawaii. Really? I didn't know that. You don't have any Trader Joe's in Hawaii? I'm honestly not the biggest Trader Joe's fan. But I went in there the other weekend, or I would say yesterday, which is the weekend. And not bad, not bad. I've never been a really big fan of the prepared foods, so to speak, which is what Trader Joe's is really known for, those frozen sort of prepared dishes, I guess. But my favorite supermarket, which you guys know already, has now arrived in Manhattan, which is Wegmans, which is right down there on Astor Place. Mr. King of Florida, this is Tom. It's actually pretty chilly in Florida now. Yeah, when I was down there, it was like 60 degrees at night. Estelle says, love Wegmans. Yeah, Wegmans is great. There's a new location that opened in Manhattan probably about 2 months ago now. Right there at Astor Place. So right across the street from the Starbucks. It's actually in the old, I was going to say H-Mart. I always get that mixed up. I don't know why. Kmart, not H-Mart. It was a very old Kmart location was in there. Hey, Vinny says Wegmans is fantastic. We are getting one next year. You should be very excited because it's amazing. Joel PM's 59th Street. You are just within the congestion pricing zone. I'm just above the congestion pricing zone. Oh, so Joel PM, thank you for reminding me, because that's another thing that I was going to mention, right? I think the Upper West Side and the Upper East Side are going to start to become more fashionable for people to live because it's out of that congestion pricing zone, right? You know, as you guys know, I'm selling that garage. If you want to check it out, it's 309 East 69th Street. Once again, the garage is 301. Apologize. 301 East 69th Street. I'm selling individual parking spaces. On a previous live stream, I actually took you guys into the garage. We're starting sales at $140,000 per space. And over the past couple days, I've actually been getting a lot of calls from people asking to see the garage because of the congestion pricing, right? I'll tell you a quick story. This gentleman calls me up. He says, I want to make an appointment to see the garage. I meet him there. He commutes from Westchester County every day to Manhattan. Now, on the east side, now remember, this is East 69th Street. What's all the way on the east side of Manhattan on the Upper East? Well, a lot of the hospitals, right? So this gentleman works in the hospitals there, is looking to buy a place in the East Village. That I don't know why. Maybe he likes the location, I don't know. But he's looking to park his car in that garage just so he can hop on the train and go back to work. Or go back to his, apartment that he's looking to buy in the city. Which I guess makes sense. I mean, if you're a surgeon or something in the city and you may need to be on call and work crazy hours, you have your nice house in Westchester, you drive into Manhattan, and then if you want to spend the weekend at your pied-à-terre, you just kind of crash out at your place, which makes sense. But you don't want to drive your car south of 60th Street to avoid the toll, which is kind of crazy that people are making buying decisions now because of the congestion pricing that is not even here yet. I don't even think the city knows when they're going to roll it out, but they've installed all of the cameras. So if you go to 59th Street, Columbus Circle, which You know, we might as well go to now, and I could show you. I'll actually show you the ones that are right outside of the Sherry Netherland Hotel. They've already installed the cameras for that. So if you drive your vehicle south, I think they're gonna charge you like 15 bucks a day, which is crazy. I mean, that's several $1,000s a year. So. All right, we are back on 57th Street. You can kind of see the transition from the older style, more original New York buildings to now these big, super tall high-rises. Isabel says, Tom, they seized 44 cars which owed $1 million in toll fees. Well, Isabel, I saw something else. I'm sure all you guys know. Do you guys watch Cash Jordan? Anybody? I'm sure all of you know who he is. I think he does a really good job with the news, local news in New York City. So I was at the office, I was taking a little bit of a break today, and I'm watching this video, right, that Cash Jordan put out today, sort of explaining the congestion pricing, but he was also explaining that there's so much fraud going on apparently, and I don't drive, so I'm kind of like, this is a really pretty Christmas tree here. Sorry to get distracted. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I don't drive, so I'm not really in tune with this, but apparently there's a pretty extensive fraudulent ring going on where individuals are altering their license plates, right? Either putting a fake license plate on altogether or changing 1 or 2 digits of their license plate. So when they go through these tolls, it doesn't register. But the problem is, you know, some people have been changing like 1 or 2 digits of the license plate, which it's actually the license plate of some random people, right? So this guy, they were interviewing him on the news, and they're like, the guy was like, I kept looking at my statement. I kept getting these tickets in the mail and all these tolls in the mail. And he's like, I don't know what this is about. I never even go to New Jersey. I never even crossed the George Washington Bridge. Well, it turns out that some guy was, you know, changing the last 2 digits of his license plate, and it just happened to be his. So all of the tickets and tolls were going to this, you know, poor guy, and he wasn't even using it. And I guess they're called ghost plates. I think there's going to be a lot more of that going on because of the congestion pricing. And, you know, that's what really pisses me off the most, right? That's what pisses me off the absolute most, because the city government knows that all of this is just essentially the middle class subsidizing all the criminals. That's all this is, okay? I mean, the people on the food delivery bikes and the mopeds, they're all illegal. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. All of the Vespas you see cruising around the city, none of them are registered, none of them have insurance. They'll go through the congestion pricing, they'll never have to pay. But you, right, you have to pay, the law-abiding citizen that's just trying to get to work. And it's all like that by design, okay? It's like that by design. So the Skells and the bottom feeders, you know, will get a free pass, and it's subsidized by you. You know what I mean? That's the thing that's ridiculous. Because the ultra wealthy, 15 bucks, I mean, it's not even, it's no sweat off their back, right? I mean, if you're worth 50 to 100 million bucks, you don't even think about $15 toll. It's the average everyday working class person who's gonna get jammed up by this toll, right? That's the problem. Yeah, like here's a good example. Like this guy has no license plate on the Vespa, right? Which I mean, look, I get it. He's just trying to work, but at the end of the day, you know, we all are in this together as a city. So if there's some people that just keep jumping the turnstiles and not paying the tolls, you know, the burden is going to be piled upon, you know, the middle class people who just want to do the right thing. And that's just what's been happening. It's a little crazy. Now, it's funny because I'm starting to take the subway a little bit more often. This is 432 Park. But anyway, I'm starting to take the subway a lot more in the city. Mainly because, you know, I'm going all around the city to show these apartments to clients. And I will literally, you know, be, you know, tapping my Apple Pay to go pay for my fare. And then you have like a wave of teenagers just jumping the turnstile and everybody crawling under it. And I'm like, I'm the only sucker who's paying this toll. I'm like, why am I even paying it? When I just saw like 8 people, you know, jump it. Like right when I'm trying to, you know, dig my phone out of my pocket to pay it. Like everybody's just jumping it. It's pretty hilarious. So again, it's the few and the people who do the right thing who subsidizes all of the bad behavior, which is unfortunate. Look at this, 5% APY on a 9-month CD. It's actually not bad. Because rates have come down. I mean, over the last two weeks, rates have actually come down a little bit. Hey Matthew, it's the same. I see turnstile jumping more and more now. I have never seen more turnstile jumping than I do right now. Okay, and I've been in this city forever. I mean, it's almost like cartoonishly ridiculous, like how many people, you know, just jump the turnstile. And I even see people, you know, that are in, like, they're fully suited up. I mean, they're wearing like $200, you know, Allen Edmonds shoes, and I see them jumping the turnstile. I mean, for me, it's just like a morals thing. Like, how embarrassing. Like, you're really that hard up for $3? You gotta jump the turnstile? I don't know. I mean, again, on the other hand, you never know what somebody's going through, and I'm very sympathetic to that. But on the other hand, if the city's running a crazy deficit and we're losing, you know, $500 million to fare evasion, the city's solution is never to enforce the law. No, because that would make sense. The solution is to say, okay, well, how can we increase the fare so that the people who are paying the tolls now could maybe make up a little bit of the delta by paying a little bit more. So that's why the fares keep going up with the MTA. Number one, because the MTA is very corrupt, right? I think we all know that. So if you have no oversight and you have no one to answer to, the fares will always go up and the prices will always go up, right? This is why, you know, free market capitalism is the best solution, because in free markets and in private markets, you have to answer to your shareholders, right? You have to answer to your customers. But the MTA has no incentive to give customers a good experience, right? Because there's no alternative. Okay, what are you going to do? They don't have to answer to shareholders, right? We subsidize them. So it's essentially a blank check. You know, increase the fares as much as you want. You know, it's not like, you know, American Airlines or something, or Spirit Airlines, where, you know, there's a limit to which they can increase the prices or you won't have any customers, right? You have to increase service, provide good customer service, things like that. The MTA pretty much has no oversight, nobody to answer to, and that's why, you know, anyway. Look, I think, you know, not to be too negative, I'm confident a lot of this stuff is going to turn its course and change around here, because I think a lot of people have kind of had it. So I am very optimistic though. Yeah, 65, that is the Polo Club. Well, I think the Polo Club is here. You know what I wanted to do really quick? Now, I'm sure all of you heard the news about Apple today. Did anybody hear the Apple news? Well, Apple has to halt, or I should say stop selling their Apple Watch due to the patent infringement. Now, in my view, I don't think sales are going to be halted for long. So I don't think this will make a material impact, because you got to understand, right? Now, again, I'll say allegedly. I don't really know what happened. I haven't really been following it. But let's just assume that Apple did, infringe on that company's patent rights for the pulse ox, right? The blood oxygen. Let's just assume it's true and they did, okay? You don't think Apple knew they were doing that? I mean, let's just be honest, right? Let's call a spade a spade. You don't think Apple knew that they were infringing on that company's patent rights? I mean, not being cynical, but of course they knew. Of course. Apple has so much money, right, that they were banking on the fact that maybe there would be some litigation, maybe they would get sued, and they would settle with them, right? They would probably just write them, a multiple $100 million check. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think this is going to be settled. I think Apple is just going to be forced to pay, a crazy amount of money to this company, and then sales will be back on. I guess you can consider it the cost of doing business, maybe. Because if Apple were to go to this company and license their technology, I mean, that would be a much, much more lucrative deal for that company, right? Now, again, everything I'm saying right now is totally hypothetical, like 100% hypothetical. But this is just sort of how I'm thinking about it. I think this will probably be settled. Apple will probably have to write a big check, but Apple has a lot of money. I mean, Apple has billions and billions of dollars on its balance sheet. So, yeah, Isabel says, yeah, Apple can afford the lawsuits. Which begs the question, by the way, at what point do companies get too big where they need to be broken up, right? Now, I'm a pure free market capitalist, but I think these are interesting conversations to have. At what point does a company get so big? Whoa. What was that? At what point does a company get so big to where they sort of start thinking like that, and they could just essentially say, hey, we have so much money, we could just push people around and do whatever we want, because we'll just pay all the fines, we'll pay all the fees, and we'll pay all the litigation. I don't know, it's interesting. Joel PM says it's free press for Apple. Bree Graham says Apple stock was down today. I mean, it was down like what, a little bit less than 1%. I mean, and you also have to realize, yes, it's right before the holidays when everybody's probably going to be buying Apple Watches for, Christmas presents and stuff. But on the macro scale, right? Apple Watches and wearables are a very, very small percentage of the overall revenue for Apple. Now, it's not nothing, right? It's not nothing, but it's not a huge chunk. It's definitely the most popular smartwatch out there. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to take a detour and check out the Apple store here on 5th Avenue to see if they removed the Apple Watches from the stands here. So we'll see. This is the Plaza Hotel right in front of us. But if you guys are enjoying this live stream so far tonight, please feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new here. We do these live streams every day starting at 8:30 p.m. where we walk around New York City and we talk about the financial markets and current events and news and things like that. But for now, I will take you down into the Apple store. Additionally, if you want to be signed up to receive our free investing newsletter. I will send out the next and final 2023 version of our Behind the Street newsletter, which is our free equity research piece, on Thursday, this Thursday after the market closes. So if you scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email address, you will be signed up to receive it. So if you go to our Substack, you can read all of our archived research for free, going back 2 years. It's a great way to support the channel for free, and you get some great information with some amazing New York City property tours. So feel free to check that out. All right, we'll check out the Apple Watch. Let me just unzip my jacket. I'm actually hot. It's actually hot out. Now, I understand it's a Monday, but doesn't it feel kind of dead in here a little bit? Usually every time we come into the Apple store, it doesn't really matter what time of night we come in, it seems pretty packed, but this almost feels like a little bit eerie empty. Is anybody else getting that vibe? I don't know, maybe it's just me. All right, let's check out if they took the Apple Watches off the displays so far. Vinny says Apple has until the 21st to pull the watches. Yeah, I read that, but I'm interested to see if they're gonna take them down before that. Who knows? It doesn't look like they did, because I still see, there's actually, you know, it's funny. Take a look and notice the customers shopping in the store. The most amount of customers seem to be shopping at this section over here, which is the Apple Watch section. So do you think that some people are getting the memo that they're not going to be able to buy the Apple Watch, so they are taking the initiative to do so right now? You can see the table looks pretty packed.
Hey sir, do you need help with anything today?
No, I'm just looking around.
Sure. As far as for the recording though?
Yeah.
Are we doing a project or?
No, just live streaming.
Okay, live streaming?
Yep.
Well, we want me to get you help with the specialist? Are you looking to purchase anything today?
No, just filming and doing a live stream.
Okay.
No purchasing anything today.
No purchasing. Cool. So
Yep.
if we're here just hanging out, we ask us to keep it to 15 minutes, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, Hello Mate 2008 says they are stocking on. Yeah, who knows? Hey, Al Baker, what's up? Jefferson says, how much does the latest MacBook M3 cost? I'm not too sure, but I will tell you this. It cost me about $330, or a little less than $330, to ship my iMac from downtown Miami to New York City. The shipping costs are crazy. Which led me to say, you know what, should I just keep my iMac in Miami and just buy another one? I decided against that. I didn't want to spend $1,000, but think about that for a moment. If you want to ship a computer from South Florida to New York City, UPS ground, it's going to be almost $300, which is crazy. All right, let's head up and out and head to Columbus Circle. Got to zip the jacket back up though. Yeah, Ricardo says 5 minutes. All right, this is the GM building. Now, Donald Trump used to own this thing. He no longer does. He also used to own the Plaza Hotel, which has an iconic address of 1 Central Park South. He also used to, well, not used to, still owns 1 Central Park West. So I mean, imagine that. Having 1 Central Park South and 1 Central Park West. 2 of the most iconic addresses really in the world. I know, Matthews is the Home Alone Hotel. Banks has learned to take packages on the plane, $45. Yeah, I mean, I thought about taking it on the plane, but it was just too much of a hassle. Too much of a hassle. And, like, what am I gonna do? Take the laptop or take the iMac on my Vespa to Miami International Airport, carry it through the terminal? I guess it was more of a convenience thing, to be honest, I guess. Yeah, Troy Atmans, is that like owning a Monopoly board or Park Place on the Monopoly board? Yeah, I would say so. I would definitely say so. Now, I have a theory, in my view. If you purchase anything, right? Now, this is like a general statement, but I really believe that if you purchase anything on Central Park South, so bordering Central Park, or the Upper East Side or the Upper West Side, bordering Central Park, going up to 62nd Street, you'll always do well. I mean, it's just like it'll always hold its value, because this is such an iconic, you know, such scarce piece of land here. Central Park South, iconic name, iconic address. Some of the most iconic buildings in the world are right here. I mean, look at this. This is the Sherry Netherland Hotel. This is number 1. Number 2, you have the Plaza Hotel. And then right next to the Plaza Hotel, you have the Park Lane Hotel. Then you have the very famous, what's it called? I'm blanking on the name. Oh, the Ritz-Carlton. 50 Central Park South is the Ritz-Carlton Hotel and Residences. So, I mean, you have some of the most iconic buildings and the most notable, desirable buildings right in this pretty much less than a square mile radius. So I think you'll always do well if you purchase Central Park South or the West or the East Side, 62nd Street and down. Hey, Blues Rider, thank you so much for your very generous $20 donations. This is for Tom's new iMac for Christmas fund. That's hilarious. I don't think we'll be getting a new iMac anytime soon, but I do appreciate it, Blues Rider. I'll use it towards paying my bill of my first ever congestion pricing toll. It'll come right out of the Blues Rider donation fund.
All right, thank you.
I wonder who in New York City will have the honors of paying the first congestion pricing fare. I'm sure they'll have it documented. Hang that up on the wall, right? I secretly want it to be me. Who in New York City was the guy who paid the first ever congestion pricing toll? I want that. I'll pay $15 for that. Hey, Hawaii, thank you so much for your very generous and kind $20 donation. So I second that, Blues Rider. Melikaliki Maka, thank you so much. my good friend Hawaii. Merry Christmas to you too. Now, I doubt you'll be having a white Christmas there in Hawaii. We probably won't even be having a white Christmas here in New York. I don't even remember the last time we had a white Christmas. Now, real quick for review here. On the Central Park South side is where you have the residences. But right as you make that right, that is the hotel. So you could actually rent condos in the plaza, or you could purchase units as well. But, you know, if you're purchasing a unit in a 5-star hotel, I mean, imagine how high your HOA fees are going to be, or your common charges. Probably very high, maybe even like $5,000, $6,000 a month. This is the Park Lane Hotel. Now, this closed down during the pandemic, but they've gut renovated the entire thing. It's actually a really nice hotel. I think it's like $450 a night. I've stayed here once before the renovations. I have not stayed here, obviously, after. But wow, it looks good. The lobby looks new. This is Sarah Beth's. Has anybody eaten here before? Now, this is a very, very famous place. It's always packed, but I gotta tell you something. I think it's a little bit overhyped. I'm just gonna be honest. I think this Sarah Beth's, particularly on Central Park South, a little bit, I think it's a little overhyped. Now, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's a little bit, for the price, you know. I've eaten there, it's good, but a little bit overhyped. I gotta plug in my phone here for a second. I'll pull off to the side. This is 50 Central Park South. This is the Ritz-Carlton Hotel and Residences. So 50 is the residences. But I think they may have moved the front entrance. All right, everybody, I gotta put you down for 2 seconds. All right, we're good. Oh, I forgot one hotel. You have the JW Marriott Essex House as you head a little bit further south. So I think this is sort of my, you know, go-to safe zone, I would say. Anything Central Park South and on the west side, really hugging the park to 62nd Street, that I think is always going to be desirable and in demand, 100%. Jonathan France, Tom, have you ever eaten at Mr. Chow's? I have not. I'm not too sure what that is. Where is it, Bob? Where is it? Look at this very bougie sort of a decorative shop that a lot of people decorate their penthouses with. And this building is the Steinway Tower. This is the skinniest residential apartment building in the entire world right here. Zozo Bob's says New York City has a 24/7 subway, so why drive into New York City? Well, I mean, some people have to use their vehicles for work, right? I mean, think about if you are a plumber, or you're an electrical contractor, or you run, you know, distributing service, right? I mean, think about all these restaurants we're walking past right now. I mean, how do we think the food gets to these restaurants? Somebody drives the food, you know, to them. You can't, you know, have, you know, like 30 kegs on a city bike. You're gonna need to drive it in. Some people live in New Jersey, some people live in Long Island, where their only really option is to drive. You know, another thing that I think a lot of people don't really think about, you know, think about if you're an older woman, so to speak, or a single mom, or even, you know, a girl in her 20s, and you have to work the night shift. Do you really want to be riding the subway as a 25-year-old female at, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning? I wouldn't let my daughter do that. To be honest, I wouldn't. So, I mean, everybody, you know, has very unique situations. So when the city says, you know, everybody can just ride the subway, I have no problem riding the subway. But you got to get all these crazies out of the subway, right? There's so many, you know, nuts, and I'm not going to lie, that are riding the trains. Someone says, are commercial trucks not exempt? No, they are not. They are not exempt. I think commercial and Uber drivers only have to pay it once per day. I think that's the sort of saving grace there, I think. All right, so this is West 55th Street and 6th Avenue. We are looking at the Alliance Bernstein building. But inside this building is also a very notable hedge fund called Fortress Investments, Fortress. Now, every time I think about Fortress Investments, I think about Michael Novogratz. Now, Mike Novogratz, we'll wait till the ambulance goes by. Now, Mike Novogratz originally got his career started off in the military. I think he was a helicopter pilot in the Marine Corps, and then he went off to work at Goldman Sachs. And he was actually at Goldman when they went public. Then I think there was something weird allegedly happened where he had to leave and step down at his position at Goldman Sachs and go to Fortress. And now he opened his own firm that helps institutional investors onboard into the cryptocurrency space called Galaxy Digital. Someone said Steve Jobs would be upset at how Apple treated you tonight. No, I mean, I understand. I totally understand. I mean, you know, she probably deals with a lot of stuff in that Apple store, like theft, people trying to steal things, you know, people trying to cause trouble. So I totally get it. You know, I didn't take offense to it at all. I get it. If 7 minutes is the limit, I will abide by the rule. 7 minutes it is, and then we will head out. Hey, Jonathan, thank you so much for your $10 donation. Appreciate it. This is for the I'm going to bed fund. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Jonathan. Have a wonderful night, and appreciate you joining us here on Walks on Wall Street. Appreciate it. This is the Charles Schwab. Right next to the Nürburgring Berman. I forgot we started the stream a little late. We started at 9. So it's probably almost 11 o'clock at night. You know what I just noticed? This is called Swing Street. I guess West 52nd Street is now also known as Swing Street. It's kind of strange. Did anybody else notice that? Never noticed that until today. I wonder why that is. All right, this is Nürburgring Berman. This is one of my favorite office lobbies in the city. I think I was telling you guys about it. Look at how gorgeous it looks. Isn't that amazing? And it goes all the way down to the back. Okay, now we are approaching Radio City Music Hall. I think this is where we usually start to buffer a little bit. Hey Victor, this is Tom. Have you ever met a Rockette? I actually have. Yeah. Highly recommend this show, by the way. The Christmas Spectacular. Well worth the money. All right, let's see how many people are looking at the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. I like how they close down the road, so you could pretty much just walk down the middle of the street. Someone says, where did you meet a Rockhead? It sounds interesting. I showed one an apartment. I can't say where, obviously, but I showed one an apartment. I was looking to purchase an apartment. Okay, we've made it to the main Rockefeller Center. Yeah, FredX, this is definitely, it's definitely a high score for sure. For 11 o'clock, there's actually a lot of people. All right, everybody. Well, I think this is a good place to end it. So thank you so much for coming out tonight on our tour of Sutton Place, one of my favorite neighborhoods in New York City. If you enjoyed the stream, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. If you want to be signed up to receive our free investing newsletter, go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email. And every other Thursday after the market closes, we send out our equity research piece to all of our Walks in Wall Street subscribers for free. You could also listen to the podcast version as well as read all of our archived research. So everybody, I will see you right back here tomorrow on Tuesday. Make it a great week. So Matthew M, Bree Grams, DM, all of our good moderators, NMB45, appreciate you. FredX, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all that good stuff. Ali Star, Diana, appreciate it. Hawaii, Turtle Sweetheart 21, Stephen Bate, Richard Vogel, D, Western Mass Dave, Solo Flyer, there's always a bull market somewhere, you just need to know where to look. Austin City Limits, we'll see you later. Take care.